For like 4 billion years, life on Earth has been written by this slow, kind of clumsy process of natural selection. But that's all changed. Right now, in our lifetime, we've basically seized the pen. We now have the ability to edit the very source code of life itself. And yeah, that changes absolutely everything.
So, I want you to imagine something. Imagine your body is a book, right? A massive, sprawling instruction manual for how to build and operate you. And it's written with an insane number of letters, 3 billion to be exact.
Now, for pretty much all of human history, if you were born with a typo in that book, a genetic disease, some kind of defect, that was it. You were just stuck with it. The story was already written, end of story.
But what if we could become the editors? I mean, what if we could actually find those typos and just correct them? Well, this isn't science fiction anymore. It's a real technology, and it's called CRISPR.
Look, it's cheap, it's surprisingly easy to use, and it puts the power to literally reshape our species right into our hands. But, and this is a huge but, with any kind of great power, there is a profound risk. Because when you start editing the source code of humanity, you might just accidentally crash the whole system.
Okay, so let's dive into how this all works. Honestly, the best way to get your head around CRISPR is to stop thinking about biology as this magical, mysterious thing and start thinking of it like software. Your DNA is the code, and CRISPR? Well, that's our new, incredibly powerful editing tool.
At its core, it's basically a biological search engine combined with a pair of molecular scissors. So, you give this system a specific sequence to look for. Let's say it's the faulty gene that causes Huntington's disease. The system then zips through all 3 billion letters of your DNA to find that exact match. Once it finds it, a protein called Cas9 acts like scissors and just snip. It cuts the DNA. Your cell then naturally rushes in to repair that break, and here's the cool part. We can give it a new, corrected piece of DNA to paste right into the gap.
And just like that, like a simple find and replace in a Word doc, an incurable genetic disease is, potentially, cured. Sounds perfect, right? Well, here's where things get a little messy.
The problem is that sometimes this incredibly precise tool can still make a mistake. It's something scientists call off-target effects.
Let me put it this way. Imagine you tell a computer program to find and delete every single instance of the word cat. It does a great job, but it might also delete the letters C-A-T from words like catastrophe and cattle, turning your whole document into complete nonsense.
Now, in our genetic code, that kind of accidental snip isn't just a typo. It could inadvertently switch off a vital gene, like, say, one of the genes that suppresses tumors. One tiny mistake could literally disable your body's ability to fight off cancer.
But, okay, let's just imagine for a second that we perfect the technology. We make it 100% safe. The ethical questions, they get even bigger. Because why stop at just curing diseases? Why not start editing for improvements?
We could, in theory, edit embryos to be smarter, stronger, or immune to pretty much any disease. But this could create a really terrifying future, where humanity splits into 2 separate species, the genetic haves and the have-nots. The wealthy could afford to become a kind of human 2.0, while everyone else remains, well, natural. And for the first time in history, we wouldn't just be separated by money, but by our very biology.
And that brings us to the scariest part of all of this, the part that is totally irreversible. It's the difference between a change that affects just one person and a change that affects all of humanity forever. Think about it like this. If I get laser eye surgery to correct my vision, my kids aren't going to be born with perfect eyesight. That change is what we call somatic. It only affects my body cells, and it dies with me. But if we use CRISPR to edit a human embryo, that change is written into the germline. It actually alters the human source code itself.
And a change that's made at that very first, earliest stage
is then passed down to their children
And their grandchildren, and every single generation that follows. That one change becomes a permanent, baked-in part of the human gene pool, forever. So what does this mean? It means for the first time in 4 billion years, a single species, us, has the power of intelligent design. We're not just characters in the book of life anymore. We are now the authors of our own evolution. With this power, we could write a magnificent future for humanity, one totally free of disease. Or, with one single irreversible mistake, we could introduce a fatal error into our own code that erases us completely.
The technology is here. The power is very, very real. And that cursor is blinking right now on the source code of what it means to be human. So the only question left is, who do we trust to make the next edit?